Hi, so this is just going to be a quick overview of my portfolio. It's just to give you kind of an idea of what's going on before you start correcting. So this is where this video is going to be going. It's just to explain some of the main ideas inside the portfolio. This is my design journey. So this is explained in the very last slide. But basically, all these different lines represent the journey that my mind took while we were designing, while I was designing this project to solve the problem. Working on then with my mood board, so everything that's interesting to me, so waterways, building boats, Guy Martin's enthusiasm, just carpentry in general and old kind of engineering. This was all about finding the problem. So as we said that before, I'm kind of building the boat at the minute, so I looked at kind of the three main problems that I had, which was head height in the kitchen, nowhere for the captain to sit, and then nowhere to eat your dinner or have a bit of food. No, there's no kitchen yet, but don't worry about that. We went with the kitchen problem, so this is just a problem statement. If you read through that, you'll get a good understanding of what the problem was and what needs to be done to solve it. So for myself then, it was time to analyze that problem statement. So I broke that up into kind of the main parts. So to do with space saving, incorporating the user's interests and passions. And there's a few other things there. If you just have a quick read through, it'll make more sense to you. But it's all about making a solution that's going to be personal yet universal. So easiest thing then is easiest thing for myself then was just kind of bring everything that I just analysed and bring it all together, which is what this slide is to represent, and it just gives 5 little bullet points there, just explaining exactly what has to be done to solve the problem. It gets rid of all the kind of excess. Initial ideas then, so I just literally started sketching out what I thought and started thinking about things around me. So I looked at the likes of adjustments, so different things like a pin system like you'd see in the gym, a trolley jack, or the pillar drill. Just kind of looking around me, see what type of adjustments I could find. Thought then about comfort. Did I need a back on it? How long are you going to be sitting on this chair when you're cooking? Did it need cushioning? Is it too much? What's the point? Any benefits to it? So just the likes of that when I worked on then. So framing the user. Now all these pictures are personal to me, but that's not to say that they couldn't be generic images. As you see down here in this bottom right corner, it says, although the project is specifically designed for this father and son, it's important to ensure the design is also universally effective for anyone to use comfortably. So basically I'm saying that although these images are personal, it could be anybody and it can be used by anybody. So that's actually one aspect of good design, personalizing it to the user or the person that's asking you to make it, but yet realizing that this is a solution for everybody. Make sure it's universally available and will work for everybody. And this slide here explains that. So we've got the personal aspects on the left, generic aspects on the right, and when we combine them together in the center, that's how we get our good design kind of concepts. Now we've cracked on, we've decided who it's for and what's going to happen. We're going to go into the investigation research and break it all down a little bit further. So investigating is kind of the more direct, and research is like the broader area. And if you just look through them slides, you'll see how research is kind of the broader details, and then investigation is where I just hone in on exactly what I need to know. Okay, same down here. Inspiration. This isn't inspiration to what kind of seen already. This inspiration is actually more to do with the passion that these two men have for what they do. So Tom Raphael over there, he makes some amazing art, furniture and kind of different light pieces. But one of the main things I've taken from looking at Tom Raphael's videos and Tom Raphael in general is he's not as concerned. Well, he is very much concerned with the design, but his real kind of passion is for timber and the work that he does, and that's something that I'd like to take and use in my own project and my own self-design. I'd like to take passions for craft and the journey that it takes and try and display that in my portfolios. Same with Guy Martin over here. He's kind of described as a grafter, which is someone that will turn his hand to anything and likes a challenge, and always tries to challenge himself and learn something new, which is something that I kind of took on for this project. So I tried to use laminating and steam bending, and I didn't want to make anything simple, so I think you'll see that as you work your way through. So more just design inspiration here, looking on to artifacts that already exist. Adjustability is in there, comfort is in there, different methods of adjusting, which is the important part. And upcycling. Upcycling is actually a key part on this slide. You see it there, and it kind of brought that into my attention from here on. So developing based on mechanical aesthetics. So if you just look through that, you'll understand it. It's very simple. You see where inspiration came from for different ideas. It's time to start modeling them for me. So I found it interesting. If you look back on my kind of design journey, the blue line's hitting off experimentation. It hits off it 4 or 5 times in a row, and that's where this begins. And this is when I started modeling. So I've made 2 timber models here, different kind of setups with the nut and bolt. I've a wooden tread. Reason for not using the wooden tread there. I made now a SolidWorks model of why I don't want to use folding legs. It's over designed. One then to make a 1:1 model, and this was actually very beneficial for me, not just because I got to see kind of roughly what's happening in the first place, because when I compared it to stools inside in the woodwork room, I realized this is really going to work. It's going to be able to twist down to, I think it's 370 millimeters and extend up to 670. And up until this point, people were telling me it wasn't going to work, and I was kind of almost doubting myself, but this is when I realized this is it. This is going to work, and it's going to look great. So that was a really important moment for me. Investigating joints. I'll let you reach it out yourself, there's no problem. It's just very simple. I wanted to investigate mechanical or traditional joinery, just to see which one was going to be the best. So, reflection at this stage. What am I thinking? What's my design? That's very clearly broken down, and it's on both sides. It's very important to note that this isn't the final design. I needed more experimentation related to timber. So at this point we realized there was no air season timber, and we needed air season timber for bending. So I utilized my own personal ash, which has been air seasoned for the last 2 years. Planked it, brought some in, and I did an experiment just to prove how flexible it was and the capabilities that it had. This is kind of why I actually picked ash in the end, because I had ash available that was air seasoned, and there was killing dried ash for the likes of making the blockboard for my top of my seat. Design aesthetics, clear there. The problem was the aesthetics of the legs. How was I going to solve that? I modeled up a few different things using curves for an illusion. This is important. Use of lamination to reduce cross sections of timber meant that I was being more environmentally friendly. I was using less timber and reducing the carbon footprint of the project. Okay, aesthetics is sorted out for me now. All looks good. Ready to start making. So here I'm after putting in all my processes, just so you can see clearly where all the different processes which are required are in the project. Final design, exactly how I'm going to put it together. Nice graphic there. Quick look through. Now, jigs and formers. There's loads of jigs and formers using this project. I don't go into detail on them because they're very self-explanatory. A leg former, I printed it out on SolidWorks, stuck to the piece, cut it with the bandsaw, stuff like that. So if you read through them, the description on the top of them tells you what it is. I don't need to tell you how they're made, it doesn't matter. Now, this is an important section also. Designed to prevent perceived problems. So I made this section because I didn't have a whole lot of problems in my project, and I used this to try and explain how my thinking prevented problems, how I planned ahead to prevent anything going wrong. So if you read through these, they're very clear and descriptive of exactly what I did and why. It's all about the why, and evaluate the value of it and see if it did work for me, which it did. There's very little issues. Yeah, this is still design problems. This one here is quite interesting. It's to do with load. If I use a dowel, the weight would have just been on top of the timber, whereas using a double mortise and tenon, you get the whole cross section of the tenon, and from this point back to support the weight of the user. Problems. So this is kind of what had been described to us as a problem-based portfolio. As I said, there wasn't a whole lot of problems, so I made this section before this. But in this, I just explained some of the little problems that I had occur, like some cracked material, slipping on the blocks here. The one thing that I did have a bit of an issue with was inaccuracy with the CNC. So the CNC was a 1.5 mm out the whole way around this center circle, which meant I had to go over to the engineering side and throw the nut onto the lathe to flatten it out and make it a little bit narrower, reduce the diameter of it. So I'm not sure if you can hear this video. If you can't, just follow the links. They're actually quite interesting. These are kind of a few more problems that I encountered, and it's probably one of the most interesting problems if you just want to have a look at it. It's to do with noise and vibrations. When I put the sponge in, basically it reduced the vibrations an awful lot and the noise just dissipated. Time to start evaluating the project now, because it's made and the problems are all there and everything has been solved. So I decided to use the design heuristic cards to evaluate my project rather than using it for design. Now I did look at it when I was designing, but it was only just a quick glance. I didn't really utilize it like you can. So what I did was I used it to evaluate the project, and I said if my project aligns with an awful lot, or the majority of these cards, or at least a good few of these cards, that it must be a good design and utilize different aspects. So the use of lamination to reduce sections of timber needed, so reduced material here, and then I use upcycled material here. So these two up here are very much to do with like environmentally friendly, repeating aspects. So we've got 3 legs identical, 3 bottom rails identical, 3 wedges identical. It just makes it like, if you were in industry now, you'd be duplicating these things an awful lot quicker. It'd be very easy to do. Change the design by bending. So if you just look at that bottom rail, I could have just used a straight triangle and delved it into the side, but it's more aesthetically pleasing and coherent in design to do, say, curved rails and curved legs. But if you just look through that, look at the design heuristic card and then the brief description beside them, it's very clear how they interact, and I think it's quite a nice way to evaluate a project. So here's my problem-based evaluation. So this is back to the problem statement and how it actually interacts with the project and how the design has solved all the issues that had been put in front of us. So if you just read through it here, this tells you what I learned about different processes and design through to the completion of the project, with a couple of nice pictures of the finished artifact. And then over here, the finished artifact in context. This is basically I brought it home, put it on top of the boat, sat on it at the lowest point where the kitchen is going to be. So this would be, say, if I'm cooking on the grill or something along those lines. Then you can see where you get up, wind up the seat very, very easily, sit on down at the highest point if you want, and you can go as close to the ceiling as you like, and you should be able to cook on what will eventually be a countertop here. If you read through all these, it's nice and simple. And this last slide, the very last slide, is just a quick overview of what I actually learned about design throughout this project. So if you just want to follow the link, now I'm going to put the link in here at the top, just follow that link and it'll show you exactly what I learned. I promise that's not as long as this one, it's only 3 or 4 minutes long. But that's it, that's my portfolio, lads. Thank you very much, and best